I'm going to open the podcast back up. It feels ready. The truth is, with my business, I still don't really know in that thought pattern, in those icky thoughts, like I should be doing more. Why am I not doing more? Lack of money that you have coming in during this process. Those thoughts do not have a place in my body anymore. It takes a little bit it takes me dropping into my body like I just did upstairs to remember what I actually believe. And I am all in for the adventure of seeing how my truth moves me through the world. Welcome to the bus. It's taken every bit of the time that I've had since leaving a job working for someone else to decondition and to deprogram and to learn who I am and to learn what I love. But who knows? Anything can happen. First, I'm going to chill a little bit longer, get some downloads. First, tea and pot stickers. Oh, that's good. So what just came through is actually a really powerful insight that I think was kind of the theme for the rest of it. So as I mentioned earlier, I quit my job last year and I've been in the process of building a business. And the truth is, with my business, I still don't really know what it is. I don't really know what I sell. I have a generic umbrella answer for that. Feminine embodiment is where my practice is leaning towards, where I feel most called to, but I still feel like I'm in the discovery phase for my business. And a lot of action that I take, a lot of things that I do come from a place of feeling like I should be further ahead than in the discovery phase. I feel like I should know what I'm doing. I feel like I should know what I'm selling. I feel like I should know what it is that my life's work is for. And the truth that I know is that it's taken every bit of the time that I've had since leaving a job working for someone else to decondition and to deprogram and to learn who I am and to learn what I love, to learn what I love doing, to do more of what I love doing, to feel more like myself, to get into my body. And I know that I'm still in the process of that. Looking around, when you get on social media, especially in my world, there's a lot of coaches that I follow. There's a lot of that type of work out there and people offering best practices and how they got where they are. And that's all really beautiful. But the reality is that we don't talk about these different phases of business, right? The discovery phase of figuring out what it is that you truly love and the ups and downs of that process. Lack of money that you have coming in during this process. It doesn't feel like this step in the process is accepted. It feels like you have to go from 0 to 100. And I actually personally find a lot of joy in this part. I think that I was kind of made for this part of it. And I know that's all part of my bigger journey, because I know that all of these skills that I acquired building the bus, all of these skills that I'm acquiring building a business and finding my passion and finding my purpose, I know that that's all going to come to a head at some point and present me with the next season of life, whatever that looks like. But when I look out into the internet and talk to people about this, it just makes me feel behind. And so moments like this and this statement, offer what I have right now, that is enough. That's what came through in the bath. And honestly, that's something that I forget so quickly because it's not talked about, because it's not shared. And I feel called to talk about and share about this more because it feels lonely in this process. But the truth is that most of us are here. My hope for everyone is that they stay somewhat, like they keep at least one foot in this phase of discovery in your life, because discovery is the best part, because we're constantly evolving. We are constantly growing and changing. And when we stop discovering what we love and who we are, that's when we fall in line with what the world expects of us. And that doesn't feel right with me. So that thought that came up, offer what I have right now, that is enough, is kind of, I think it was my intuition's response to what I've been feeling, because I've been feeling, even though I've energetically given myself November and December to relax and to decompress and to wind down and to get acclimated back into being in a home, it's November 17th and I find my wheels spinning, at least the expectation that my wheels should be spinning. I can feel that. And I'm the one being hard on myself and saying, like, why aren't you making money? Why don't you have money coming in? Why aren't you doing things in your business? Your business isn't moving forward. Like, those voices, I can feel them in my head, and they're coming from me, right? Nobody outside of me is saying those things. And yet those thoughts are spinning in my head. And then there are all of these thoughts and feelings that stir in response for that. And it's almost like now, because that is so far out of alignment with my body, those thoughts do not have a place in my body anymore, because I have truly worked past a lot of those beliefs, but the thoughts are still there. And so it creates this internal conflict. And whereas before that used to make me shut down, or I used to run from that feeling, right? I would keep myself busy. I would go out. I would go play golf. I would go out with friends. I would go drink. I would do something. And this process of really dropping into the feminine and descending into the feminine has allowed me to work through a lot of those thoughts, or those beliefs rather, those truths. So they're not in my body anymore. But when they come up in my head and then they try to feed my body signals to do something, my body's like, no, that's not how we operate. And then it takes a little bit it takes me dropping into my body like I just did upstairs to remember what I actually believe, and to be able to fully give those thoughts their space to identify where they belong. And then that allows me to kind of move past them and get out of my head and more into my body. And so that's just a really beautiful, intimate process that I go through pretty regularly. And I want to say that process has taken 3 years to develop, of what I just talked through, of getting out of my head, into my body, recognizing that the thoughts that are going in my head don't actually align with what I want. That's not an easy thing to do. That has taken inner child work, that has taken healing, that has taken a lot of really scary decisions. It's taken a lot to get to that point, but I want that to serve as a point of hope, or even it can be that simple. It doesn't have to require all of this deep healing. It can be something that you just adopt as a way of thinking. With that, that was kind of the overarching theme of that session in the bathtub, of just really allowing what I have right now to offer is enough. There have been a lot of thoughts coming up recently about actually kind of a message, a deeper message. I almost equate these as like messages or themes of a specific like season. And I use the word season in my life. I can mean a week, I can mean a month, I can mean a 6-year time frame. I use the term season very fluidly and flexibly. Each season, there is like an underarching knowing or theme that comes through. And there have been a couple. The longest standing one is go deeper. I went deeper into the feminine, went deeper in my pain, I went deeper into my healing. And then the other that has been coming up, over the last month since we've been home and back in North Carolina out of the bus, is create things. And the most recent is be seen, which is why I'm here making a video on YouTube. But I wanted to speak on the create because that was where my next thought that I wanted to share was going. I've been getting a lot of pulls recently to do like craft like creation of things. Making candles was one, which is where this came from. My mom and I made some candles together for the retreat, which was really healing. There was a lot of mother wound and sisterhood wound healing in that time with my mom, which was really beautiful. And also too, like I found a lot of joy in making these candles, and that's going to be something that I keep doing. And the other is sewing and macrameing and making things. And all of these thoughts are just flooding and flooding and flooding. And this reminder, the sentence that came up into my brain, offer what I have right now, that is enough. That I feel like spoke to the side of me that wants to create, but feels the need to sell the things that I create. And it's like I was limiting myself from being able to create something unless it was worth a monetary value. And that reminder was really beautiful because simply creating is so healing and so powerful. And so I think that was a reminder to just allow myself to create. I don't have to sell everything. I'm going to clean up the house a little bit. I have clothes strewn everywhere. So I'm going to spend probably the next 30-45 minutes just cleaning up the space, making it inviting, making it feel a little sexier, decluttering, really allowing what I see visually to match how I want to feel inside. And then I think I'm going to be ready to sit down and actually do a little bit of work, which is exciting because I haven't really wanted to do any of that recently, but taking this approach to it has helped tremendously. I went from feeling really icky and low and just not great this morning and yesterday to now I'm feeling excited and motivated to work, and that my work is important. And that's a really beautiful thing to feel. So we had an outfit change on quite a little train here, journaling. But yeah, I'm fully in the flow right now. I think a really good use of my time over the next week and a half will be to get the rest of our stuff into Pinehurst and get moved into Pinehurst. So then my energy next will be poured into getting our stuff together. I think I'll finish, my kind of flowy day here, and in the process of that, be getting stuff upstairs packed up, but just doing it in a really slow, easy moving way, because avoiding feeling rushed is always my default. And it's not always, it has became my default. Yeah, so I've got myself set up and I know where my energy would best go. That is actually something that brings me a lot of joy to do, because we both kind of like, we'll go to reach for something to wear and we like don't quite know where our clothes are. We don't quite know where all of our shoes and socks and underwear and big swimsuits and everything is. It's some of it's here, some of it's in Pinehurst, some of it's in the bus, some of it's packed up. We both had trips on and off over the last few months, which we're very grateful for all of that. I was talking to Brian either this morning or last night, and I was just like, I'm so grateful that these are the things that we're having to work through now, because there's just so much change, there's so much new, there's so much unknown. And I remember a point in my life where there was so much known, there was so much that I could predict, there was so much that I could draw out in a perfect form and probably get right about my future. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how much I could predict, my next few months, weeks, years in my life. And I've finally changed that. And I found so much joy and groundedness in the uncertainty and in the mobility of it all, in the fact that, we have stuff in so many places. Our stuff has been so many places. So it makes sense, but that's fucking beautiful. So just allowing myself to find joy, I think elevate the feeling of spread outedness that was at the root of all of this, meaning that it's very clear that my energy is very spread across a lot of places, which is why I'm spinning my wheels in trying to get things done. And I think the most logical next step for my energy is to clean everything up, to get everything in one place. And that also serves Brian the best too. I don't know, it sets our family up for energetic success. And so it makes me really excited to do it, because I know how good it's gonna be. I'm excited to do this. Gonna finish packing and then probably load all of the stuff up in the car. And then I probably won't drive to Pinehurst until tomorrow, because there's a lot of food here that I wanna cook. And I kinda wanna spend the night here one more time just to really make sure I got everything. But who knows? Anything can happen. I just sat here very cozily for, 20 minutes or so. Kind of let myself slip away, and it's like my eyes were tired and my mind was blank, but I was very much awake. And I just let myself slip away, let my mind wander. And I had this very clear image of a giant macrame house. Oh, I have such a beautiful vision of it. It makes me so happy. I want to host breathwork sessions in here. I want to host like women's circles in macrame house. What does macrame mean? Why am I being drawn to macrame? Okay, that's beautiful. Yeah, this very clear vision of like the macrame house. Oh, I just see like candles, like little stools, and it being just like a pop-up cozy space. We're just in this like massive macrame hut. I like this. Ooh, I'm going to make some tea. I love to make what my mom and I call coffee tea. It's like a silly thing from childhood. My mom was trying to like wean me off of coffee as a 5-year-old. My aunt that would babysit me, I think, would give me coffee. My mom didn't like it. This is the story that I think I've reimagined throughout the years. So I have no idea if this is actually true, but my Aunt Jennifer used to give me coffee as a kid. My mom didn't want me having coffee, so she gave me just regular black tea with milk and sugar, and it has just become a source of comfort. It's a very, obvious thing that people do as part of their lives, but to me it just symbolized a very cozy feeling. So I'm gonna make some coffee tea, and I have the urge to read. So I'm gonna make some tea and I'm gonna read this book. It's called Untamed, because I'm desiring a lot of untaming. And my girlfriend Jess, who I met on my first retreat, gave me this. So I'm gonna read a little while, going to drink a little bit of tea, stay cozy. Yeah, I'm gonna keep sinking into this because this feels very productive. So while the tea is brewing, I think I also landed on the decision that I want to try to record a podcast episode tonight, record it on the camera and just make it a part of this first video that I release. I'm gonna go get my camera from the bus. I'm going to make sure everything's charging, find all my stands, get my microphone out, and just kind of have everything out in the kitchen so that when that time comes, I can kind of just in my flow, set up the studio, set up the recording area, get everything in check, make sure everything's charged, and just slowly move into that and give myself some time and space to do that tonight. In addition to getting things packed up to drive down to Pinehurst tomorrow. It's sounding fun. I'm having a really good night. I feel like I'm moving in the forward direction and I'm doing it with so much space and flow that it actually feels fun. And I don't feel like I'm forcing anything, but I'm actually getting things done that have been on my list for a little while. Feels good. Water's boiling. Excuse me, pardon me. Excuse me, pardon me. Thought it might be fun to take you to the bus with me. I have to go get my camera, some other equipment, so you're coming with me. This is Caddy. Right, welcome to the bus. It's not very lived in right now, which we like. I'm looking for my camera, which I kept in here because I'm gonna record my podcast episode on my actual camera instead of my phone. So we'll see if I can find it. Struck out on the first thought. Gotta do a little more looking. No luck. All right, I've decided I was a little hungry, so I made some pot stickers. While those are finishing and the tea is finishing, came in here. This is where I'm gonna film the podcast. Be chilling here on the couch. I'll have the microphone and we're gonna roll, but not yet. First, I'm gonna chill a little bit longer, get some downloads. I think I know what I want the podcast to be about. I want it to actually be about what we've talked about here. Better. I want it to be what we've talked about here, and maybe the difference in how I rested today and what the last 3 days have been like. Before the retreat, actually, I told myself that I was gonna give myself until Wednesday of this week to just like veg out, had no expectations of myself to do anything or try to do any work or anything. I wanted to just let myself relax. I got to really drop in the week before the retreat, but I was very focused on the retreat. If I was being honest, I didn't know how the retreat was gonna go. I was very nervous about it, so I wasn't able to fully drop in. So I knew that I would want some time after the retreat. So after the retreat, I gave myself until Wednesday. And Thursday, I started taking some calls. I have some calls planned for next week. Things are going in a really good, smooth, comfortably paced direction in my business. Rewind to the last 3 days, giving myself time to wind down after the retreat, I found that I started slipping back into the thought patterns that I started talking about in this video. I've been there for about two full days now in that thought pattern, in those icky thoughts, like I should be doing more, why am I not doing more? Going through something right now where like I'm pulling away from a program that I joined and there's a lot of awkward energy there because it's something that I'm just having to like speak out as my truth. And I'm having to pull away from things that I don't feel energetically aligned with, even though I felt energetically aligned with them 2 months ago, a month ago. And so having to constantly like face myself and say, I was aligned with this a month ago, but it doesn't feel right anymore. And that just goes against everything that we're told externally. It feels too soon to make a decision. It feels like I need to give it more time, but I can just feel it deep in my body that those things aren't aligned. And so I've been moving away from them, moving towards what does feel aligned. And it's this constant evolution of that. And it can feel really empowering. And then other times it can feel like you are moving through the world as this entitled, self-righteous, like undeserving, unworthy person. And so it's a really strange array of emotions. However, I do feel like I stay the most grounded when I'm doing my practices like I did today. When I spend my days like I did today, I actually feel rested. I actually feel rejuvenated. We went through the day together, right? Like we've talked about the progression of how these thoughts have transformed. And so it's been really fun, even just giving myself the space By the way, I'm a self-projected projector, so talking through things like obviously has a lot of healing properties for me. So I've landed in a space where like I actually feel really comfortable with the action moving forward, and I feel rested enough to do it. I don't feel rested after the last 5 days of just sitting on my ass and scrolling on Instagram. And like, now I needed that. That was like my winter phase, even though I'm like coming out of my spring and moving into my summer season right now. As far as my menstrual cycle goes, I didn't really get my full expression in my winter. So I think I'm just like a phase behind and maybe just playing catch up and recalibrating after not getting the timing correct of my downtime. And it's just fun. It's fun to see the implications of this. I feel like today was really healing in that. And I learned a lot about myself. And now I'm finally going to open a podcast back up. It feels ready. I feel like I'm moving into this next season with a totally new direction, a totally new sense of groundedness, a sense of who I am, a sense of my truth. And I am all in for the adventure of seeing how my truth moves me through the world. It's just about the only thing that feels aligned anymore. Learning more about my truth, aligning more with my truth, expressing more of my truth, allowing myself to be seen more in my truth. So I think that's what this podcast episode is going to be about. But first, tea and butt stickers. Getting the apartment unpacked, setting up that space in the office is something that will help so many other things in my life that feel ungrounded fall into place. Ooh, she's got a pair of lubes. This is raw. This is really raw. This is coming together. Okay. Oh, I'm so happy. My heart is so happy.